UFC Fight Night Vegas 58, Dos Anjos versus Fiziev just took place, and I'm going to go through the entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event, giving my reaction and breakdown to every single fight on the card, and my overall event recap as well. Let's start straight away with the early prelim opener of Ronnie Lawrence versus Saiyokub Kakhramanov. Saiyokub gets it done as the underdog. I picked him as an underdog. I have no idea why he was the underdog. He is an amazing fighter, and Ronnie Lawrence just couldn't really get up from on bottom. Saiyokub was stronger than him. It showed in that fight. He was a lot bigger than him as well, especially in the upper body, so he was able to just sort of like throw Ronnie Lawrence onto the ground. Lawrence didn't get dominated in terms of like being beaten up really badly or anything like that, but they came out scrapping straight away, and Saiyokub found his grappling early on and just got the positional control and started landing total strikes. And that was that for 3 rounds. He got on top, half guard camped, landed some total strikes all night long, and won that fight every single round, 30-27 to Saiyokub Kakhramanov. There were some moments in the fight where Ronnie Lawrence would land something good on the feet, like a spinning back kick to the body, or an uppercut that he would land at one moment, or something like that, but Saiyokub was just too strong in the grappling. Lawrence would end up on the ground, and then Saiyokub would just sort of like pick him up and dunk him. Like, he's a very strong guy for that division. We haven't seen much of his offensive grappling game yet, but now I guess you can say that was a really good offensive grappling game from Saiyokub Kakhramanov. Amazing performance, 30-27. Not the most entertaining, but whatever. He won the fight, and that's what I said would happen as an underdog. Moving on, up the card, Nzechuwku versus Karl Roberson. I went with Nzechuwku, and he got the job done. This was evens at one point, no idea why. Nzechuwku is twice his size. Why is Roberson fighting in the light heavyweight division? It's because he has no discipline to get down to the middleweight division. He could clearly very easily make middleweight, but he just has no discipline for the weight cut, so that's what you get. Nzechuwku just out-grappled him for 3 rounds, landed some big shots of ground and pound towards the end to get a 3rd round TKO. We'll talk about the stoppage. It was illegal. There were so many fouls going on in this fight, though. I don't know what Herb Dean was doing. He took a fight off, in all honesty. Nzechuwku kept trying for the rear naked choke. Roberson was defending against it well. Nzechuwku was groin shotting him in a clinch. He was landing back at the headshots a lot in that fight as well, but the referee, Herb Dean, just ignored all of it. Roberson grabbed the cage at one point, and Herb Dean ignored it as well. So Herb Dean was just like, I'm just going to let whatever happen. And Nzechuwku landed about 5 back of the head shots towards the end finishing sequence and got the job done by TKO. He's massive for the division. He's way bigger than Roberson. And that was all the difference in the grappling situations. Roberson just couldn't keep it standing. He's too small. It was too easy of a takedown for Nzechuwku. Nzechuwku should not be grappling you like that. You're too small for the division. Leave the UFC or move down a division. But you'll probably end up leaving the UFC because this is a many loss streak for you at this point. So, good job, Nzechuwku. Good finish, I guess. Illegal, but good finish. He won. He would have won anyway, so a good win by him. Grapple fest for 3 rounds again. Moving on. Up the card, David Onama versus Garrett Armfield. Good performance by Garrett Armfield on short notice, but David Onama gets it done in the 2nd round, starts implementing some of his offensive grappling, finds his way into an arm triangle position, and gets the arm triangle in round 2. Good job, dude. 3 minutes and 13 seconds into round 2. He finds the arm triangle. Garrett Armfield did not want to tap to that arm triangle whatsoever, so he was trying to tough it out and find any way he possibly could to give himself some space to get a breather, but Onama was able to adjust the shoulder to a higher position to make it a little bit tighter of a grip, and that was able to put Garrett Armfield out cold, I believe. I don't remember him tapping, so I think he went out cold, and Onama got it done. The 1st round was quite fun. I actually gave the 1st round to Garrett Armfield. He was landing some really big shots on Onama. And for an 8-1 favourite that Onama was, that had a win over Armfield before, for Armfield to look this okay in the 1st round on very short notice, didn't really look too good for Onama in the 1st round. He looked great in the 2nd and started to get his groove on a little bit, but in that 1st round, he was just so open for hooks, like he was so defensively unaware, and Armfield kind of tagged him a couple of times, and I was worried he was going to get KO'd for a second, but he found his range, found his rhythm, got his takedown offense going, and got it done in the 2nd round. Good job, David Onama. Moving on up the card, Antonina Shevchenko versus Courtney. Was an alright fight again. Nothing too special. Round 1 went to Antonina Shevchenko, I guess. Round 2 went to Antonina Shevchenko again. Round 3 went to Courtney Casey very clearly. Courtney Casey started to get a lot of it going her way as the fight went on. Pressure was doing well for her. She was always landing her combination punches and stuff like that. And Antonina won the first round. Arguably, you could say Casey did more damage in round 1. But because she was on bottom and total strikes were being landed by Antonina Shevchenko in the first round as well. Also some good ground and pound anyway. Casey was doing some elbows off of bottom and stuff like that. But very clearly a 29-28 Antonina Shevchenko. A very close fight. I was aiming for a robbery. I said Courtney Casey would win as an underdog by split decision. So I was one incorrect judge from being correct in that department. But yeah, Antonina Shevchenko gets it done. Didn't look great. Kept throwing these lead head kicks. Front leg hook kicks and stuff like that. Definitely the runt of the Shevchenko family, but she won a fight, and now Casey's 10-10, and she'll stay in the UFC after this. Moving on, up the card, Cody Brundage versus Tresean Gore. I went with Tresean Gore. I think a lot of people did, and Brundage just owned him. Tresean Gore's not good. All talk, really. No chin, really. Brundage is powerful, I get it, but like the shot that he got hit with just put him right down. I guess he was off balance. He was on one leg after throwing a leg kick that wasn't really a good leg kick. Kind of put him out of position, that opened him up for that finishing sequence from Cody Brundage. Something in my ear. We're good. Either way, Cody Brundage with a good win. I think he should have got a performance bonus over Chase Sherman, but I guess Chase Sherman took more damage and Brundage kind of gets the bonus of not taking any damage in that fight. So good for him. Took down Tresean Gore early on. Tresean Gore defended. Brundage was landing some shots in the clinch, and then Brundage was just keeping his jab going at range. Gore was trying to land some leg kicks and some big punches of his own, but he was missing a lot of them. And eventually Brundage landed that right hand as Gore missed his leg kick and left his head open, put him down, and then took him to mount and just started landing big shots, put him out again badly. And Tresean Gore was done in the first round. He's now 4-2, and arguably on his way out of the UFC. Yeah, a lot of hype behind that guy. A lot of talk as well from him a lot of the time, but he really isn't anything special. Cody Brundage gets it done. Maybe Cody Brundage is something special. Who knows? Moving on to the main card. Michael Johnson versus Jamie Mullarkey. This one is interesting. So, round 1 is the deciding round of this fight. I'll have to rewatch the round to really break this down. Round 2 is clear Jamie Mullarkey. It was near enough a standing 10-8 without any knockdowns, but Michael Johnson kept firing back enough to make sure that wasn't the case. So it was a 10-9 in round 2 for Jamie Mullarkey, the clearest round of the fight. Round 3, Michael Johnson was landing the better shots. I scored round 1 for Johnson when I was watching it back live. He outlanded Mullarkey 31-30 in round 3. And Mullarkey outlanded him in round 3, but Johnson landed the better shots in round 3. Round 2 was clearly Jamie Mullarkey the entire way through, beating up Johnson badly. But in round 1, let's talk about this. I kind of get it. When I'm thinking back to it, I know that Johnson knocked down Mullarkey badly, but he didn't do anything afterwards. He just sort of grabbed on to like the neck position in the north-south position. And then that's it. I know it's an official knockdown, and arguably it should have been scored to Michael Johnson. But, like, he shouldn't have just banked on that to win him the entire round, because he got rocked badly and fell face first into the canvas. Like, I know it wasn't an official knockdown where Mullarkey sent him to the canvas with one big punch and he went off of his feet, but he rocked him badly with, like, a 4-punch combination. Down goes Johnson. Mullarkey was winning the round outside of that as well. Just in general, he was landing good body kicks, good leg kicks, and good jabs here and there too. So he was winning the round anyway. He landed a good 4-punch combination that put down Johnson, rocked him to the canvas face first. And then once he got Johnson down, he landed big elbows of ground and pound and big total strikes as well. So he technically did more damage in that round, really. I think he cut open Johnson in that round. I'd have to watch it back. Sure, you can give it to Johnson, but, like, I don't know, man. You should have done a bit more, like, than just sort of laying on top of him. Like, I've got an official knockdown. I don't need to do anything else this round. And it kind of costed him there a little bit as well. Plus, Mullarkey's knockdown-ish type situation came second. So I think the judges paid a little bit more for that. They factored that one in a little bit more because it ended the round that way. But either way, Johnson arguably should have got the round, but it's not like a bad situation where you don't understand it. But if anyone should have got it, it should have been Johnson, I guess. But Mullarkey gets it done. He won the round in general. He did more with his knockdown-ish moment, but technically Johnson had the knockdown, so it goes to him on paper. But either way, moving on to another situation. He got a fight of the night, so good for him anyway. Aiemann Zahabi versus Ricky Turcios. I'm never picking Ricky Turcios again, ever. He's a bitch, and I know he's an MMA fighter and a professional and he would beat me up, but that doesn't change the fact that that man got KO'd badly in sparring, and you can't deny that. He got KO'd badly in sparring, didn't want to get KO'd again, did not want to get hit once in that fight, didn't want to take any risk whatsoever. Aiemann Zahabi just picked him apart for 3 rounds, 30-27. No idea what Turcios was doing. No idea what he was doing in that fight. I'm not picking him again. In his other fights, he charges forward, he makes fights happen, and he gets into a scrap. Maybe he's got CTE already, and that's why he was a bit more reserved for this one, but I'm just never picking him again. Straight up never picking him again. I can't trust a guy that does that. He was trying to rob the decision. That's what he was trying to do. He was trying to make a big thing happen later on in the rounds, make a bunch of noises and posture and keep the volume out there and stuff like that, to where maybe the judges would think that he's landing some of them, but Zahabi landed all of the clean shots. Yeah, Turcios, forget you, man. I thought you were like some tough guy savage, but you're just a coward, really. Like, just, you genuinely just tried to rob the decision. You didn't even try and win. None of your shots had any like effort put into them or any conviction at all. Moving on up the card, Jared Vanderaa versus Chase Sherman. I went with Jared Vanderaa here. People are laughing because I said he was the lock of the card, which is crazy to say, but I thought he arguably could have been winning before the end of the fight. I mean, he was edging out the numbers in the rounds, but Chase Sherman was landing more of the better shots and stuff like that. So I thought Vanderaa was winning round 2 and was winning round 3 until the end of it at least. Maybe Chase Sherman can get round 1, but just shocking to me that the game plan against Olenek, the jiu-jitsu wizard of the heavyweight division, was to take him down immediately and take dominant position and try and get his back and get his back and try to choke him out. But the game plan against Sherman, who can't grapple to save his life, was to stand there for 3 rounds with him. Yeah, pathetic, really. I have no idea what he thought he was doing. Never picking him again. Never again. I can't trust that ogre IQ. Yeah. Go eat a fucking Big Mac, you fat shit. Either way, Sherman wins. Good job for Sherman. Saved his career. He needed that massively. Humble on the microphone afterwards. Good personality in general, so I'm glad he won instead of Vanderaa anyway, but your game plan against Olenek is to grapple early on. Your game plan against Sherman, who can't grapple, is to stand there for 3 rounds jabbing at him. Moving on. Up the card, Douglas Silva de Andrade versus Said Nurmagomedov. I went with Said Nurmagomedov. He got the job done by decision. A little bit of controversy here. I thought that Douglas Silva de Andrade won round 2, but I thought he lost round 3 pretty clearly. It was more competitive than I expected, though. Douglas Silva de Andrade is a powerful guy, a dangerous guy because of that power as well. I mean, Jan's demolition of him is looking really good in hindsight, making him quit on the stall. But round 1, Said barely outlanded him. Had a moment in the grappling as well. Did better in the clinch as well with knees to the body and tapping shots to the head as well. So it was a close round in general, but Said just did a little bit more in the clinch and a little bit more at range and also cut open Douglas Silva de Andrade in the round, so that goes his way. Round 2, Said was winning that one quite comfortably, but at the end of round 2, Douglas Silva de Andrade kind of hit him with a spinning back fist that knocked him off balance. I guess that could have given him the round in hindsight, so I kind of edged that way in round 2 for Douglas Silva de Andrade. But round 3, Said Nurmagomedov landed the better shots on the feet, better shots at range, better shots in the clinch. Ended up on the ground for a long time, getting leg kicked over and over again. Silly move from him in round 3 to assume that, but he got back up. Landed the better shots, got a takedown in round 3 of his own, had some control time for a bit, landed a couple of shots there, so Said Nurmagomedov got this one done. Very elaborate style, but not as dominant as the surname would suggest, so there's going to be some problems for him moving forward maybe. Definitely seemed to slow down as well in a very low-paced fight, which is interesting to say the least. Moving on, up the card, Caio Borralho versus Armfield Petrosyan. Again, another snooze fest on the card, but Caio Borralho won that fight. I thought he lost the 3rd round to Armfield Petrosyan, but I thought he won the first 2. Maybe he got outlanded in round 2 and won, but he was landing total strikes in those positions and threatening the rear naked choke too many times for it to be scored in his direction. But yeah, he won. He didn't win the third. I don't know how he got the third round, but he won the first two. And it says 12-2 on significant strikes in round 2, so I guess I'll have to rewatch it, but just too much grappling dominance, and then back control, and then submission attempts. Even though he didn't give him one, he was constantly trying for that rear naked choke and trying to crank on an arm at one point as well. So he's got good positional control, kept the total strikes coming to the face of Armand Petrosyan. So good work by Borralho. Finished in dominant positions all of the time. I don't think he's going to get Dricus du Plessis. I don't see him getting a ranked opponent after that performance. He probably needs to fight one more unranked guy. Maybe he gets Brad Tavares next. Who knows? But, yeah. Gassed out a bit in the third round. Armand Petrosyan just didn't have the grappling early on to deal with those takedowns. And Borralho is not 5'10". I don't know where this measurement's come from. He's about 6'1", 6'2". Big guy for the division. And, yeah, he did good. He did good. He got the grappling going. He took the back well. He's very technical on the ground. But showed some weakness in the third. When he can't get his own way in the grappling, he's very open for stuff on the feet. But Armand Petrosyan's a very good fighter. So, yeah, interesting fight. I picked Borralho, he won. Moving on, up the card, Rafael dos Anjos versus Rafael Fiziev. I've already broken down this one in a video on my channel, but I guess I'll do it again here. Interesting fight for the first 4 rounds of it. I had it 3-1 Fiziev, but I don't mind if you give round 2 to Rafael dos Anjos. But Fiziev was winning. If anyone was winning that fight, you can't have it 3-1 dos Anjos going into the 5th. You could have had it 3-1 Fiziev. I had it 3-1 Fiziev. I thought he landed the better shots in round 2. His body kicks were great. Front kicks to the body were good. Leg kicks, he didn't throw much of them. I guess he didn't want to get taken down. His takedown defense was great as well, but dos Anjos ended up getting him down in round 4 and keeping him there for a bit, and it looked like the momentum might be changing towards dos Anjos' way. But, rounds 1, 3, and 2, I thought were Fiziev's round. Round 1 was clear. Round 3 was clear. One judge gave dos Anjos round 3, which is ridiculous. If you give dos Anjos a round of the first 3, you give him round 2. But I still thought Fiziev landed the better shots in that round and landed good shots here and there. Stuffed the takedowns over and over again, and even like flipped dos Anjos over himself into a kind of takedown situation in round 2 as well, which kind of made him look good in that situation. He kind of just used a whizzer and just shook dos Anjos off of him and threw him to the ground. So that gives him a little bit of points in terms of judging as well. I gave him the first 3 rounds. Round 4 was interesting. RDA was landing elbows off the break in the clinch, getting some takedowns here and there. A very slow-paced fight in general, but RDA was starting to have some success. And then round 5, I guess they told Fiziev in the corner, listen, it's a close fight. It could be 2-2. We need this round massively. And he started out the round very, very fast. Both guys landed a couple of shots on each other. And then Rafael Fiziev just uncorked a vicious combination. Body shot, right hand, left hook over the top. The body shot grazed off of RDA. The right hand hit the guard of RDA and sort of shook him over a little bit. And the left hand landed clean on his chin while he was off balance. Put him down badly. The stoppage, I don't really mind the stoppage. I know people are complaining about it. He's a veteran, but I thought it was quite bad when I first saw it. But he would have lost anyway. You've got to consider that. Also, when you look at the replay, the follow-up shot Fiziev landed, the right hand, put dos Anjos out cold for a second. So, you know, he's not really a guy you see out cold or get put out cold by any kind of shot. So to see dos Anjos sort of stiffen up like he was laid out on the canvas after that follow-up shot, I understand why the referee stepped in, because he did look like he went out cold for a second, but like popped back too as soon as the fight was called off, which is always unlucky. But I truly believe if it wasn't called off there, it probably would have just been Rafael Fiziev following up with another big shot that would have definitely kept him out cold. So I don't think the stoppage was bad. A little bit early for a veteran, maybe, but the follow-up shot on the replay definitely put him out cold. In terms of quality of the card, it was a terrible card. I'm just going to say it how it is. Ronnie Lawrence Rakhmonov was alright, but Kakhramanov, you know, whatever. It was decent. Nzechuwku Roberson was just sad to watch, the wet blanket. Onama Armfield was okay. Shevchenko Casey was Brundage Gore, cool. Big moment. Only big moment really on the prelims. And then Johnson Mullarkey, amazing fight. But then followed immediately after. There was no momentum of great fight after great fight. It was just followed immediately after by Zahabi versus Turcios. A snooze fest for 3 rounds. Vanderaa Sherman was good. Build momentum. And then Douglas Silva the Andrade Said was a real low-paced fight. Borralho versus Petrosyan was a snooze fest. And then Dos Anjos Fiziev was pretty dead until the 5th round, so it is what it is. You know what I mean? Fiziev versus Gaethje, I guess. And RDA versus some old guy. Ferguson RDA too? I don't know. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Toodle pip, I'll see you later. Goodbye.